Conor Benn, the son of former super middleweight champion from the UK, Nigel Benn, wins his professional debut against journeyman Ivailo Boyanov. Now, under most circumstances, in most situations, on most occasions, you can't tell much from a fighter's professional debut. They're just getting their feet wet, particularly when you're dealing with a guy like Conor Benn, who didn't really have an extensive amateur career. So he's going to do a hell of a lot of development. He's not someone who's coming to the professional ranks as virtually the finished product, like some guys who have extensive amateur backgrounds do, like a Guillermo Rigondeaux or Artur Beterbiev, Vasyl Lomachenko, etc. These guys come to the pro ranks and they're virtually the finished article. I mean, not quite, but very close to being a finished article on their pro debuts. So with Conor Benn, we have to wait a long time to see what he's really going to be about. But what I can say from looking at his pro debut is, in terms of his body configuration, the way his body is configured, his natural movements and everything, he's very, very reminiscent of his dad, Nigel. Very reminiscent. The way he moves, his body language in the ring is just like his dad. Far more so, in my opinion, than Chris Eubank Jr. is similar to his dad in the way that Eubank Jr. moves and everything like that. Eubank Jr., the way he throws his punches is not like his dad at all. If you're familiar with Chris Eubank Sr., his dad didn't throw punches like that. He had a different style. His body was configured a lot more differently. His dad had much longer arms, and I think he was slightly shorter. He just moved in a different type of way. His punches weren't actually quite as crisp, or as his combinations weren't quite as rapid as Chris Eubank Jr.'s combinations are, but Chris Eubank Sr. had more one-punch power. With Conor Benn, it's virtually a carbon copy of his dad in terms of the way he moves. Now, some people looked at that pro debut and said, well, he don't have his dad's power. And maybe he won't. I mean, he's much smaller than his dad for one, but obviously they're probably talking about pound for pound. He probably don't have his dad's power based on what they saw in that professional debut. And that may be the case, but again, we have to wait and see. On your pro debut, you're not always firing on all cylinders. You're not always at 100%. So maybe the shots weren't landing as cleanly as he wanted to, but you can tell that this is a Ben through and through. Even the look in his eyes, Conor Benn, is the same look his dad's got in his eyes. They have this fierce, ferocious look in their eyes. It's almost animalistic look. Conor Benn has that same thing as his dad in his eyes. And the way he fought in this fight was reckless. Okay, against this journeyman, he was reckless. He was getting hit. He was swinging wildly. That's just like his dad. If you didn't see his dad on the way up, that's exactly how his dad was. The way he throws his shots, even his stance, he has quite a wide stance, exactly like his dad. Now, obviously, some of that is going to be genetic. You're going to move and whatnot to a degree like your dad or your parents. Just because you carry their genetic traits, so you're going to carry their physical traits. But there's going to be an element of that, but also the fact that Conor Benn has done a lot of training and sparring with his dad. His dad's basically been his teacher throughout his boxing career thus far, for the most part. So he's obviously been looking at his dad and copying things that his dad's doing, because his dad's been his main trainer up until this point. Now, Nigel Benn says he will not replicate what Chris Eubank Sr. has done with Chris Eubank Jr. in terms of interfering with his son's career. And people were so quick to criticize Nigel Benn for being a hypocrite because he got in the ring after Conor Benn won this fight, his pro debut, and said, oh, he got in the ring and this, that, and the other, so he's just doing the same as Chris Eubank Sr. Well, I guess you haven't seen the interviews that Nigel Benn has done over the past week or so, where he said that this is one of the few fights of Conor Benn's fights where Nigel Benn's even going to be in the country. Nigel Benn's now going to go back to Australia and he's going to leave Conor Benn in the hands of Eddie Hearn and what have you, and he's not even going to be there for the majority of his early fights. This is what Nigel Benn's saying. So give the guy a second. It's his son's pro debut. Is he not allowed to get in the ring for his son's pro debut? He allowed his son to speak in a post-fight interview. It weren't like Chris Eubank Sr. with Junior, because Senior likes to do all the talking. It was his son's pro debut. He celebrated this. Now he's going to leave the guy in the hands of Eddie Hearn, and he says he has a lot of faith in Eddie Hearn and the team that they're going to assemble for Conor Benn. He says if Conor needs him, he's only a phone call away, and he'll help him out, but he's going to let Conor walk his own path. So, yeah, those are my thoughts about Conor Benn's pro debut. Sloppy, wild, aggressive, just like his dad. He's got a long way to go. I'm sure he will improve. We don't yet know what his best weight is going to be, whether he's going to be a welterweight, lightweight. We don't yet know. We'll see in the coming years. There's apparently odds, some of the bookmakers in the UK at least are offering quite serious odds on Conor Benn being able to win a world title before 2025 or something. It was might not be 2025. I think it was 2025. They're offering good odds of him, if you want to bet on him winning a world title before 2025, you'll get good odds on that. A lot of people are going to take them up on it. Some people are going to be a bit cautious. We'll see. Let me know what you thought about Conor Benn's performance. He didn't knock the guy out, obviously. He stopped the guy, hit the guy with body shots and everything, and got caught with a few himself. But like I say, it's a pro debut who is excited. And you can see with that type of personality he has, with that type of aggression like his dad, he's going to need to be the kind of fighter that you rein in on a big occasion. Not the kind of guy who is going to have, Nigel Benn, I'm calling him senior. Nigel Benn, the dad of Conor Benn, was always very nervous before big fights, but he never froze. His nerves manifested themselves as hyper-aggression. That's what happened with Nigel Benn. He would turn that extreme nervousness into extreme aggression. And that's what backfired with him. And you might get the same with Conor Benn. In fact, you probably will. I don't know if he gets as nervous as his dad used to, but you can see he's got that hyper-aggression about him. And that's something that his trainers and whatnot are going to have to rein in. Aggression is good, but it has to be applied in a structured fashion. You can't just be allowed to fly out there willy-nilly, because that's how you end up getting caught. And he, like I say, he did get caught in this fight. So, yeah, long way to go. Far too early to say if he's going to be any good or not. We'll just have to watch this space and see. Let me know what you thought about it, people. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.